Hey everyone, my name is Wedge, and it's time to talk about the elephant in the room, more accurately, the giant tentacle monster in the room. Modern season is fast approaching, and I want you all to be prepared. I'm sure you've heard a ton of rumblings about an Eldrazi deck in Modern. That is the understatement of the century. There are a million Eldrazi decks in Modern. In this guide, I'm going to deck tech for you the basic shell of the new Eldrazi strategy in Modern, and then help you decide which direction to take it. If you like our deck tech series and want to see more videos like this, please hit that like button right down there. Helps out a lot. There are three main versions of the Eldrazi deck in Modern, and within those three versions there are multiple subversions. No, I'm not kidding. Yes, this is just like Inception. We'll begin with the base that each deck shares. Eye of Ugin, Eldrazi Temple, and Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth have taken center stage as the best lands to run in any Eldrazi strategy. Eye of Ugin lets you tutor for creatures and makes all of your Eldrazi cost 2 less, basically broken. Eldrazi Temple is essentially 2 lands in 1, putting you ahead of turn as long as you're casting Eldrazi spells, and Urborg enables both of these previous cards to add black mana. More significant is how this applies to the Eye, which can't tap for mana on its own. Alongside these ridiculous lands, we have the basic creature shell. Most every powerful Eldrazi deck in Modern is running 4 Wasteland Strangler, 4 Blight Herder, 4 Oblivion Sower, and at least 1 Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger. With Eye of Ugin and Eldrazi Temple, it isn't impossible to play Oblivion Sower multiple turns early. One of the most ridiculous scenarios? Eye of Ugin turn 1, Urborg turn 2, tap both and play 2 Wasteland Stranglers. And your creature out there is dead and you have 2 3/2s on turn 2. Welcome to the new Modern. The Strangler provides a fast threat that can't be answered by most decks for multiple turns. Blight Herder ramps you into Ulamog or multiple Eldrazi. Oblivion Sower gives you a bunch of lands, we'll talk more about that in a minute, and Ulamog exiling 2 permanents on cast is backbreaking, especially when you can do it so early in the game. Between your lands and Blight Herder, do you really think it'll be that difficult to get to 10 mana? Yeah, it won't be, ever. Those are the only creatures the deck runs. As for spells, there's also a ton of overlap. Every Eldrazi deck runs exactly 1 Slaughter Pact, although that does get worse now that the Twin is gone, so they may not be a need-to-run kind of card anymore. They also run at least 3 Expedition Map because you have to search for your Urborg, Eldrazi Temple, or Eye of Ugin as quickly as possible. And they also all run a combination of Inquisition of Kozilek and Thoughtseize, usually 5 to 6 total, with Inquisition taking 4 of those slots most of the time. The last crucial piece to the core of the strategy, Relic of Progenitus, a full playset every time. Remember when we mentioned Oblivion Sower? Yeah, Relic is stupid with that card. You cast the Sower, while the trigger is on the stack, exile your opponent's graveyard, which definitely includes fetch lands, let's be honest. The Sower's trigger resolves, and you get a bunch of lands even if the Sower doesn't exile them itself. Remember, with Urborg, you don't even need to fetch with those lands, they just tap for black now. 4 main deck relics also help to prevent graveyard shenanigans from getting out of hand. Being able to main deck 4 of such a strong sideboard hate card, it feels good, I won't lie. It feels really good. Everything that we just talked about, all Eldrazi decks in Modern run that shell. It's the most powerful and consistent part of the strategy, and that's why it's universal across all variants. Going forward, we're going to focus on each main variant and how it differs from the others. We'll begin with straight mono black Eldrazi. The deck name suggests more black in the deck, but really all you're adding is Dismember and maybe Surgical Extraction, both of which can be cast from your life total. By going mono black, you're really going more colorless than anything else. This version lets you run Scrabbling Claws, another way to enable the Sower, and it runs Allah's Dust because removal is funny, and this card is easy to cast with the Eye and Eldrazi Temple in play. There is a variant of mono black Eldrazi that actually runs Heartless Summoning. To do this, you're going to have to change the heart of the deck. You remove the Wasteland Stranglers and Blight Herders and replace them with Conduit of Ruin and Kozilek's Channeler. We're basically trying to cast Ulamog as soon as possible. A few copies of Go for the Throat and Allah's Dust and you have a completely different deck. While your creatures are a tad smaller, your 4 Ulamog don't care at all. You're going to cast that beast so early it's disgusting. This is more of a niche variant, but it's catching on slowly due to its explosiveness thanks to its namesake enchantment. Moving right along, we have black-white Eldrazi. No Allah's Dust or Scrabbling Claws here. Instead, the white splash includes cards like Shambling Vent, Lingering Souls, and Path to Exile, and sometimes even Tide Hollow Sculler. All very good justifications for playing white. In addition, this version focuses more on removal, usually including a couple go for the throat, specifically for aggressive matchups. If you want a stronger early game against Zoo decks, Infect, or Affinity, this version may be for you. It's a much better early game than the mono black version, that's for sure. Speaking of better early game, Black-Red Eldrazi is the last variant we have to talk about. As you can probably guess, the red splash is solely for removal in all of its glory. The deck runs Pyroclasm and Anger of the Gods, preparing for some serious aggro issues early game. Ditching Dismember completely, this version, like the mono-black version, also tends to run All Is Dust. Black-Red is a weird combination of late-game board wipes and early-game catch-alls in addition to the powerful Eldrazi package. While it is seeing less play than both the mono-black and black-white versions of the strategy, I wouldn't count it out. You'll see why soon. If you're having trouble deciding which version to play, I understand. The core is the same throughout, but the dressing is different. Mono-black throws caution to the wind, focusing more on ramping to its threats than dealing with early-game attackers. It's more suited to a slower meta. Black-White deals with threats well, utilizing both Path to Exile and Go for the Throat to stave off attacks, and Lingering Souls to provide a grindy defense. Much better against early attackers and will assuredly help you get to your late game safer. Black-Red Eldrazi, while being stupidly powerful against early decks by running at least 4 to 6 damage-based board wipes, is largely blank against late game strategies, sacrificing that effectiveness for the sake of burning Affinity and Zoo to the ground. You have to decide which version of the deck you want to run. Personally, I like Black-White. Path to Exile is one of the best cards in the format, and it's difficult to pass on playing it, but that's just me. If we look at sideboards, this is really where the colors differences shine through. Mono Black gets to run Curse of Death's Hold for token strategies, along with Memoricide for combo decks, and Disfigure for infect and aggro strategies. Black-White Eldrazi gets to run Celestial Purge, Disenchant, Stony Silence, Timely Reinforcements, Kataki War's Wage, a lot of great sideboard hate. With all that said, the Black-Red version probably gets the best sideboard options in Crumble to Dust, Shatterstorm, Slaughter Games, and Vandal Blast. It's really explosive stuff. Again, look at your local meta and try to analyze how the modern meta is shifting overall to decide which variant is best for you. Whichever you do choose, get ready to cast tentacle monsters early and often. While this deck can blank from time to time, it is stupidly explosive. Enjoy consistently casting Ulamog in Modern. Yeah, think about that. With Oath of the Gatewatch now out, these are some cards you need to look at for Modern Eldrazi. First and foremost, Thought-Knot Seer. This card is crazy strong, lets you grab a card from your opponent's hand, sticks 4 power onto the board. We're basically looking at a slower Vendilion click. Sure, it doesn't have the raw power or instant speed, but still, it's strong. The next big addition I'd look at is probably Reality Smasher. 5 mana for a 5/5 with Trample, Haste, and forces your opponent to 2-for-1 themselves, you'll take it. Of all the new Eldrazi creatures, I strongly believe these are the 2 you should consider looking at. By that I don't mean play less Eldrazi, by the way, just make room for them somehow. Again, I can't tell the future, and there could be better cards out of the new set for this strategy, but these 2 stand out for me. I hope you enjoyed this guide to Modern Eldrazi. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them below. I tried to cover as much as I could as quickly as possible, so if you have anything to add or if you have new tech for these strategies that you want to share, please do. We're all about building better decks here. As always, subscribe for the latest and most reliable Magic the Gathering information you could ever need. This is the Mana Source. I'm Wedge. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.